So, good afternoon, guys. It's Sergio Pistrana again. So, this is actually Math 1 Statistics. This is your statistical course for the species. We have here 3 units for statistics, which are 3 hours lecture per week, which is 54 hours for the whole semester. So, basically, when we talk about the statistics, we will be covering nature of statistics and the statistical notations. So, wherein we will be discussing the process of statistical research, measure of tendency, dispersion, skewness, kurtosis. Also we will be tackling uh, correlation and regression analysis, basic probability and counting rules. We will be talking about normal distribution, sampling distribution, and estimation of parameters and hypothesis testing. So basically, uh, during the during the pandemic and rate of pandemic time, I was not able to cover all of these topics. Hopefully, for this semester, on the nature of our learning, which is currently asynchronous online learning. Hopefully, we will be able to tackle most of the topics here, especially correlation and regression analysis and our hypothesis testing. We may skip some of the topics here under probability and counting rules, maybe normal distribution, sampling distribution, and estimation of parameters. So basically, these topics, the aforementioned topics, are actually tackled under your K to 12, if I'm not mistaken, grade 11, second semester. So basically, we will be reviewing most of the basics that you have tackled during your grade 8 under our K to 12. So for the outcomes of the course, we will be defining basic concepts and terminology of statistics. We will perform the process of statistical methods in conducting a research. We will organize, present data using appropriate statistical tools, identify appropriate measures and interpretation of research data, distinguish any misuse of statistics, and recognize the importance of using appropriate measures and data presentation methods. So basically, and hopefully, we will be uh, doing this outcomes for the whole semester. Okay, so again, here are the course outline. Usually, we will be covering nature of statistics and correlation and regression for the whole midterms. And due to the nature of hypothesis testing and others and probability, baka medyo magtagal tayo rito sa ibang topics na pang finance. Okay? So, also, you're familiar with this grading system or our online grading system. So participation, online assignments and activities, and quizzes, all of that are 20%. And we have major examination by Edmodo, and project is 10%. So in a total of 100%. For a total of 100%. So this actually may be subject to change. Hindi ko pa talaga bago mula ron sa last 2 years na na in-offer ko tong na itinuro ko tong Math 1 kasi sorry. So basically, let's start. Basically ano. So let's first define what is statistics. So ano nga bang statistics? Ano bang meron sa statistics? So basically, numbers. data, data array, collection ng sobrang laking data. So, yun yung statistics. Pero, bigyan ko muna kayo ng konting exercise, mind exercise regarding statistics. So, isip kayo ng kahit anong question. Any question under the sun. Just any question. Siguro yung pinakaunang question ang pop up sa utak. So ngayon, using that question, isipin nyo to. Pwede ko pang gawan ng data to. In a case, may makukolekta ba akong data para sagutin yung tanong na to? Makakaipon ba ako ng numbers or count para sa pagkuha ng data para masagot ito? May present ko ba yung data para sagutin itong question na to? Makakagamit ba ako ng statistical tools para sagutin itong question na to? Kung lahat ng itinanong ko ay nag-yes kayo, yan ay tinatawag nating statistical question. Bali, yan yung basis, or that is the basis, on the definition of statistics. And by statistics, it is a branch of mathematics dealing with gathering, pag-kolekta ng data, presenting, pagpapakita ng data using charts and graphs, organizing, pag-aayos, and analyzing large quantities of data to have a meaningful idea that is useful in decision making. So basically, with your question, if you can do this four of this process to have a meaningful answer regarding your question, then you will be applying statistics to it. Okay? Another definition of statistics is it is a range of techniques and procedure for analyzing, interpreting, displaying, and making decisions based on data. Same with the first definition, wherein you will be analyzing, you will be interpreting, or that will fall under organizing, displaying, that will fall under presenting, and making decision. Again, that is for the, to have meaningful idea. Okay? So, this lecture actually will focus more on definition of terms or definitions that are important in statistics. So, first things first, what is the importance of statistics? Here are some, but these are not all of the importance of statistics. We have here intelligent and sound decisions. So, like, parang ngayon lang during our election period, look at the numbers. Looking at the figures, looking at the data. That data may be used to make intelligent decisions or intelligent and sound decisions, whether kung sino ba yung politician or sino yung politiko na iboboto niya. Development of critical minds. Hindi tayo basta lang using the data that is gathered using statistical methods or procedures. You can have a more critical knowledge or critical way of thinking towards things. Habit of asking for valid reasons. Kasama yan. Kasi bakit ganito, bakit ganyan nangyayari dito sa bagay na to. Okay? Using the data, pwede mong magamit yung data para mag-come up for dun sa valid reason. Therefore, magkakaroon ka ng habit ng pag-ask ng valid na reason regarding dun sa mga bagay na yan. Again, and next we have habit of not blindly accepting numbers or findings. This is one of the most important importance of statistics nowadays because Filipinos are on a habit of just accepting fake news, fake numbers, fake figures, and kung ano-ano pa. And one of the most important then is the interdisciplinary body of concepts that validates ideas. May link mo yung mga bagay-bagay. Hindi lang siya basta, hindi lang tunnel vision yung nakikita natin when it comes to data na numbers lang yan. Halimbawa, pwede mong mai-connect ang economics sa ratings ng ng mga politiko. Pwede mo rin i-connect ang ganda ng educational system sa quality ng education na naibigay rin sa mga teachers or dun sa quality ng opportunities na ibinigay rin sa teachers. Also, pwede mo i-connect yung performance ng bata maaari sa financial status ng pamilya niya. So, yun yung pwede mong gamitin or pwede kang gumamit ng statistics in a way para makuha mo yung interdisciplinary body of concepts that validates ideas. And there's more, pero hindi kayo sinama na dito. Okay, so by statistics, like mathematics, we have here divisions of statistics. We have descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. So, by descriptive statistics, these are actually more of a way na may describe mo yung isang bagay. Halimbawa, isang population per se. Using statistics, collection ng when you collect data that is related to the population, tapos na na kuha mo or na compile mo yung lahat ng data na yon, that will fall under and magagamit mo yung data yan para ma-describe yung population, that is descriptive statistics. By definition, descriptive statistics is the totality of methods and treatments employed in the collection, description, and analysis of numerical data. So the purpose of statistics is to tell something about a particular group or observation. Sabihin, basically, when we talk about descriptive statistics, it talks about the, the population. Kasi ang sabi niya, it talks about the totality. Okay? So by population, it talks about the characteristic of the whole group of data. Okay? So for inferential statistics, it is a logical process for sample analysis to generalization or conclusion about the population. It is also called statistical inference or inductive statistics. So, bali ang dito naman, sa inferential statistics, ang mangyayari, kung meron kang isang buong grupo ng mga tao, kukuha ka lang ng bits ng mga isang grupo ng yan. Tapos, kung ano yung data na nakuha mo sa mga yan, yun na yung magdi-describe ng buong population. So, ganun naman yung inferential statistics. Ibig sabihin, you generalize uh, it's more of generalized information from a small portion of the population. Okay. So ano ba yung ilang example nitong inferential statistics na to? Ang ilang examples ng inferential statistics na to ay yung mga pulse, yung sa Pulse Asia, yung sa social weather station na mga surveys. Halimbawa, yung mga usong-uso ngayon. Surveys regarding sa kung sino ang iboboto ng mga Pilipino. Okay? Tapos yung sa iboboto ng mga Pilipino na yun, 1,000 lang yung kukunin in comparison sa million na voters ng Pilipino, and they think that 1,000 Filipinos would represent the whole population. That is inferential statistics. So how about descriptive statistics? One example of descriptive statistics is the GDP of the Philippines. That GDP of the Philippines would describe the whole population. So that is the difference between the descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Okay? So, in that notion, nababanggit-banggit ko na to, population, sample, ganyan. When we talk about population, it consists all of the members of the group. It is not necessary that when we talk about population is lahat na ng tao sa Pilipinas. When we talk about population, it's more of say your group of concern is the students of Primso Candelaria students. As of now, I think we have 100 students in Primso Candelaria campus, meaning to say your whole population is all of that 100 students. Okay. So, meanwhile, when we talk about sample, it is just a portion or part of the population of interest selected for analysis. For example, your selected population or population of interest is Primso Candelaria students. So you will just take a portion of that 100 students which are yung binanggit natin kanina. So that is your sample. For example, I just took 25 students from that 100. That 25 students is my sample. And the whole population is the 100. Okay? So basically, parang ganito. If we have here this nine, you call this, figures, this is the population. So if I take some of the members of that population, let's say the lightning, the arrow, and the cylinder, and the cross mark, the multiplication sign. So this will be my sample. Okay. Hopefully that the this is clear. Hopefully we're clear with the distinction of population and sample. Because understanding the difference between these two will be crucial when we are dealing with statistical measures or statistical procedures wherein we will be using the number of members of the population and the number of samples that is taken from the population. Right? So in that, we have here the formal definition of descriptive and inferential statistics. So descriptive statistics is the totality of methods and treatments, binabanggit natin kanina, employed in the collection, description, and analysis of numerical data, which means it is an analysis from the population data. So one example of this descriptive stat is the census. Ganyan. And for inferential statistic, it is a logical process from sample analysis to generalization or conclusion about the population. Small group sample, it will describe the whole population. It is an analysis of the sample data. Alright. So data. By data, we have different types of data. Okay. So for here, I have here two two types of data which are actually in dito sa kaliwa, we have here the regional growth rates in the Philippines, in Bangsamoro, Sorsogon, Northern Mindanao, and something. And also we have here the smallest decline. We also have here the largest share in AFF and so on and so forth. This type of data actually it describes a whole population per se. For example, negative 1.9% is the slowest decline for the Bangsamoro region. So as you can see there, that describes the population of Bangsamoro, which means lahat ng data na nakikita natin dito sa kaliwa, all of these are actually descriptive statistics. And by descriptive statistics, we call this one or these numbers as parameters. So that is one type of data. And as you can see on the right, I have here the net satisfaction rating of residents in the Philippines from May 1986 to March 2009. So, we have here from Marcos to Duterte hanggang 2019. So, kapag binasa nyo actually itong nakasulat dito, these are actually, dito, hindi nila nilagay yung total number of samples ngayon. But anyway, for this kind of survey, for net satisfaction survey, they only get 1,000 samples. And by those 1,000 samples, they generalize that 1,000 samples will represent the satisfaction rating or the satisfaction of all residents or all Filipinos. So kung makikita niyo actually may trend pagpatapos na yung termino ng isang presidente, lahat ay pababa. Pero itong ano, kay na Duterte at saka kay Aquino. Actually, hindi pa naman tapos yung kay Duterte. Hindi pa dito yung 2021, 2020, 2021, and 2022. Basically, sa half lagi yung fall ng natin. Okay. So, this is what we call statistic. Linawin ko lang class, ibang difference, malaki ang difference ng statistics, yung may S, at yung sa wala. When we have statistic, it defines a number. Kumbaga, para siya, partner siya ng parameter. When we talk about statistics, it is the general concept or which means it is the branch of mathematics. Okay? Anyway, here are the definition of parameters. Parameter and statistic. No, that is not the statistics. We have here parameter which is a numerical index that describes a characteristic of the population. Meanwhile, statistic is a number of index or numerical index that describes a characteristic of a population. So, yun yung nakita natin dito kanina. So, itong parameters, it describes the population, and statistics, it describes the sample of the population. That will generalize the generally describes the population. Okay? So next natin are constants and variables. Same to halos sa definition natin sa math ng constant variable. But yun, on the variable side, medyo on the characteristic siya. Hindi siya basta unknown lang. So by definition, constant is a character of object, people, or events that does not vary. Ilan dyan sa mga constant na sinasabi natin, halimbawa ay melting point ng pure substance, say H2O or water. Pag sinabi nating melting point, hindi yan nagbabago. Okay? A melting point ng tubig from ice papuntang water ay 0 degrees Celsius. So that is constant, hindi nagbabago. Magbabago lang yan kapag hindi pure yung water. Ano pa? Yung mga constant. So, constant din yung speed of light. Okay. So, another constant, hindi yan nagbabago. Magbabago lang yan once na mag-interact siya sa ibang bagay. So, when we talk about speed of light and vacuum, that is 2.99 nga ba yun? 2.99 times 10 raised to 8 meters per second. Okay. So, ganyan yung mga sinatawag natin constant. And when it comes to variables, these are characteristic or a characteristic of object or people or events that can take different values. By values, it may differ being quantitative or qualitative, which we will discuss later. So, halimbawa, eye color. Okay. This is a variable. Why? Because it can take different values. Pwede siyang brown, pwede siyang black, pwede siyang blue, pwede siyang green, okay, and so on and so forth. Okay? Ano pang pwedeng variable? Pwede rin lang height. Okay? That changes for different samples or individuals in the population. So, magbabago-bago siya. Okay? So, as you can see here, meron tayong parang categorical dito. Meron din tayong numerical. But in any case, both of them are actually variables. So in that, wala na tayong masyadong pag-uusapan sa constant. But for the variables, yan yung madami. We have different types of variables. So first, we have here some types of random variables wherein we have here the qualitative and the quantitative variable. So by quantitative and qualitative variables, yun yung kakabanggit ko lang regarding dun sa eye color and dun sa height. When we talk about qualitative, from the word quality, uh, it is also called as categorical variable because it is conceptualized and analyzed as distinct categories. For example, yun nga, eye color, hair color, complexion, gender, that is what we call qualitative variables because they are categorical. So when it comes to quantitative variables, or also known as numerical variables, these are conceptualized as analyzed along a continuum implied yields to frequencies when counted. So, yun yung kaibahan nung quantitative sa qualitative variable. This is countable or measurable. Ito, countable and measurable ang ating quantitative variable. When it comes to qualitative, it is categorical. Okay? Meron tayong distinct categories. So, next to uh, next to that is another type or classification of variables, which are experimental and mathematical classification. So for experimental, it's more on nagdi-deal to dun sa pagka-classify natin ng variable kung paano natin siya tinitreat sa isang experiment. So we have two types of experimental variable. We have independent variable and dependent variable. And for mathematical classification of variables, we have discrete and continuous and discrete variable. So for the experimental classifications, we have here independent variables and dependent variable. And by definition, here are the definitions. Basically, when we talk about independent variables, these are the ones which we expect to have an effect on the behavior of the subjects. And by dependent variable, it is expected to be influenced by the dependent variable. Ito yung kung lilinawin natin, independent variable, this will affect the dependent variable. Okay? So, kumbaga, independent variables influences the change in dependent variable. So, that is how we look into that. So, kung halimbawa, ang independent variable natin ay, say, temperature. Okay? Or sabihin natin water temperature. Kung binago-bago mo ang water temperature, ano kaya ang mangyayari sa growth of, let's say, tilapia? So, itong growth of tilapia, yun yung magiging dependent variable natin, and independent variable yung ating water temp. So, halimbawa, if we maintain the temperature of one experimental trial to, let's say, 40 degrees, masyadong mataas yan. But anyway, yung iba ay 10 degrees, yung iba ay 0 degrees. Ano kaya mangyayari dun sa growth ng tilapia? So that is how we assign independent variables to take effect on the dependent variable. So for the mathematical classification, as we have stated earlier, we have here continuous and discrete variables. By continuous variables, by definition, it is of infinite number of values. So it can be associated on the continuous line interval, while a discrete variable can consist either of finite number of values or countable number of values. So, paano yan, sir? Anong ibig sabihin yan? It just mean that continuous variable usually are measured using instruments, and discrete variable are counted, just counted. For example, one of my favorite discrete variable is the number of televisions in the house. As you can see here, we have this discrete variable. So let's have one continuous variable. One continuous variable may be amount of salt. Huwag natin gawin amount. Gawin natin percent of salt in water. Okay. So as you can see here, when we talk about percent, it can take different values. It's a percentage yan, meaning to say, our values can range from 0 to 100%. Okay? So by 0 to 100%, that value can be 0.5. That can be 4.6%. That can be 10.11%. As you can see here, if we expand the decimal numbers, magkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag nating continuous line interval, in which infinite yung pwedeng maging value natin. Kasi kung isipin nyo, kung nag-start ka mismo sa 0, pwede ka magkaroon ng value ng 0.1. Pwede ka magka-value ng 0.11. Pwede ka magka-value ng 0.12, 13, 113, 115, 116, and so on and so forth. Hindi pa tayo lumalampas ng 1 nun. Puro 0 point pa lang yun. Kung isipin nyo, yun yung definition natin ng continuous variable. So, paano yung sa discrete? So, tanongin ko kayo, pwede ba kayo magkaroon ng 0.1 na TV? Or 0.2, 0.5? Di ba wala namang ganon? So, when we talk about number of television, this television will act as a countable value. It can either be any values from 0 to the positive integers. Wala tayong magiging dyang tawag dito, 0.5. Okay? Kasi that will be countable. Just like the number of members of the household. So, hindi ka naman pwedeng magkaroon ng 0.5 na kapatid, di ba? So, yun yung ibig sabihin natin dyan sa discrete at continuous variable. So, yan yung difference nilang dalawa. Okay. So, in that, since nandun naman na tayo sa numbers, diretso na tayo rin sa levels of measurement. We actually have 4 levels of measurement. We have the nominal level, ordinal level, interval level, and ratio level. So to discuss that, we have here the nominal level of measurement, which is this is a mutually exclusive or exhaustive meaning. It is used to differentiate classes or categories for Fourier classification or identification purposes. Wala tayong specific order. Ibig sabihin, for example, we have here gender. Gender can take up many forms. It can be male, female, lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual, queer, metrosexual, and so on and so forth. But to take that value or to take that classification, wala tayong specific na order dyan. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na 0.5 ang pagiging male at 1 ang pagiging female because those type of data are purely categorical. Meaning to say, in statistics, we classify that under the nominal level of measurement, meaning to say, we have no particular order. Same with the course taken in college, say, fisheries, BSIT, BS education, BS, paano ba mga BS? Business administration, business management, and so on and so forth. Walang specific order yan. That is purely classification. Same with marital status. You can be single, married, widowed, widower, separated, and so on and so forth. Okay? So that will fall under what we call nominal level of measurement. So the next level will be, kung wala tayong order for the nominal, yung next natin meron na. Ordinal level of measurement is used for ranking. It is observed values still considers categories, but however scaled or has a particular order. Order has no particular differences with each other, like numerical grades or of college students. By numerical grades, yun yung ano natin, 1.00, 1.25, 1.50, 1. Tawag dito, 1.75, and so on and so forth. But basically, when we have that numerical grades, hindi mo sure kung or wala kang particular na differences with each other. Kasi hindi mo alam kung gaano kalaki yung difference nitong dalawa. Halimbawa, pagkakaalala ko kasi, 97.5 yung lowest grade para makauna. And yung highest grade naman para maka 125 ay 97.4. So halimbawa, dun sa values na yan, pwedeng uno yung isang estudyante, 125 yung isang estudyante, pero 0.1 lang yung difference nila. So yun yung sinasabi nating no particular differences from each other kapag itong values lang na to ang ginamit natin. So pwede pala siyang 100, pwede pa lang yung isa ay nandun sa bottom ng 125. So you cannot know kung ano yung particular differences nila with each other. Another thing, we have here employment ranking. So halimbawa, for teachers, we have teachers 1, teachers 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Then we have, I think, master teacher na. Master teacher 1, 2, 3. We have here the, we have the arrangement. But that does not necessarily mean na may specific tayo na difference between sa isa't isa. Kumbaga, kung titingnan natin yung sahod, hindi mo makikita lang doon sa ranking ng teacher yung sahod unless isa-search mo. Again, and next natin is yung MTRCB rating. If you know the SPG, G, the PG, the R13, R16, and so on and so forth. Yung mga yun, meron tayong particular na arrangement. May particular na order tayo, but not necessarily na hindi mo na alam natin kung ano yung difference ng rating na yun sa isa't isa. Okay. So that is ordinal level of measurement. Okay. So next natin, since wala tayong particular differences dito, next na natin ay yung meron ng particular differences. Next natin is yung tinatawag nating interval level of measurement. It is used to classify and order and differentiate between classes or categories in terms of degrees or differences. So, here comes the degrees and differences. So, interval measurements can either be discrete or continuous. So, in this way, actually, we have here temperature. So, temperature can range from what's negative 273 degrees up to 273, and so on and so forth to infinity. So, that is what we call an interval level of measurement, or pwede rin yung length in centimeters. Okay? So, And lastly, we have ratio level. So this ratio level differs from interval measurement only in one aspect. Meron siyang tinatawag nating true zero point or what we call the complete absence of attitude being measured. It can either be discrete or continuous. So, when we talk about the interval measurement earlier, we cannot actually say that there is an absolute zero in temperature unless you talk about the real scientific or the technical definition of their absolute zero. But in here, ratio level really have a zero point, which means it is non-existent. So per se, we have weight. It can exist as zero weight, wala ka mismong minimeasure. And also, we have age. You can have a zero age. Okay? Salary in Filipino peso. Pag wala kang trabaho, zero talaga yung salary mo. So, that is the only difference between the ratio level of measurement and the interval level of measurement. Okay. So, to sum it up, here are the different properties of each level of measurement. So we have first the nominal, which we have indicates a distinction, but no specific order. Ordinal, we added the direction of the distribution, meaning we have order. And for interval, we added the indication of the amount of distinction. And for that should be rational ratio. Okay, so for ratio, we added an absolute zero. Okay, so here are some other classification of numerical data. Basically, we can classify the nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio level of measurement based on their being a quality or a quantity. So under the qualitative variables, we have nominal and ordinal, and for quantitative, we have interval and ratio. So that's all for now. I will just be giving you a quiz on Friday. So be ready for that. Goodbye.